welcome back to my channel. I am back with another notebook review. So this one is from Rhodium Mines. They did contact me and sent me this to try out for free and to give you guys a review, but as you can see, it is still in the plastic wrap. I did take it out of the actual packaging because it was an envelope. So I have not actually looked at the notebook other than what you see here on the outside. So let's get started. So like I said, this is from Rhodium Mines. It is a dot grid notebook. It has 100 GSM paper and 206 pages. You've got this little information band on the front, and then on the back, it just goes into a little bit more detail about the pages. So you have an expandable back pocket, 2 bookmark ribbons, 2 pen test sheets, contact details, it's acid-free paper, elastic closure, all that fun stuff, and it's lay flat. So that is what it looks like on the outside here. Let's take off this wrapping. All right, so first off, the elastic does feel pretty good, which is nice. This outside, it's I don't know if it's actually leather, but it feels like it's probably a faux leather outside. So it's got a nice feel to it. Let's go ahead and open up. So I'm gonna just take off this first. All right, so move that to the side. So when you open it up, first, they have this little thank you card with how you can get in touch with them. I will link their information in the description box if you guys are curious, but I think that's a really cute thing to add in for the people who buy their notebooks. Then you've got your contact information, so name, address, telephone, and email with their logo on the inside here. Let's see, so you've got the fly page, whatever the heck this is called, but the blank page to start. And then it starts directly in on dots. So let's see. First thing that I noticed is 1, there's no index, so you would have to create your own if you want to use this for a bullet journal. 2, there's no page number, so you would have to do that yourself. However, not the end of the world. We all know there's tons of notebooks that are really great that don't have those particular features, and they make really nice bullet journals. We just have to do a little bit of DIY to get them set up. So I'm gonna try doing, all right, so it lays pretty flat. I just kind of pushed a tiny bit, and you can see it's this one section of paper kind of goes up. So I think that if you were to break in the spine, it would lay nice and flat, just a little push, and it actually is staying open really nicely. Next up, let's take a look at the bookmarks. So you've got 2 over here. I like that. So it's a gold or a yellow and black, which I like how I don't know, they're nice neutrals, but just kind of fun. They seem to be a decent length, because every once in a while you get a ribbon notebook, or a ribbon, notebook marker, that's super short, weirdly, and these seem to be, oops, there you go. These seem to be a pretty decent length. So let's take a look at our back pocket here. So, little back pocket as normal. And, oh my gosh, can't even grab it. So here you have pen test paper. So what I am curious about, hold on, let's see. Nothing else in here? Nope. So standard back pocket, nothing too fancy. So let's open up. So what I want to see is, I'm trying to see if it's the same paper. I'm guessing it probably is, but because it's got this printed thing, it looks different, but I think it feels pretty similar. We're gonna do a pen test on here to see how that works, but it does feel like it's that same kind of glossy paper that they have in the notebook, which obviously would make sense so that you could do a pen test on here and not have it react the same as on your notebook. So we'll do this in a little bit. So first what I wanted to do, because the notebook itself is pretty standard. It's got some nice features. This lay flat is actually really nice. I feel like I don't even necessarily have to break in the spine a ton, because just one little push on it and it's laying really nicely. But what I wanted to give you guys was a comparison between the size and the dots of other brands, so you kind of have an idea of what size you're looking at, as well as the color of the paper and the size and darkness of the dots. So first up, I have 3 notebooks I'll show you. So I'm going to show you Leuchtturm, a Dingbats, and a Rhodia, because those are just the ones that I have on hand, and they're pretty standard sizing wise for an A5. So taking a look at the Leuchtturm, let's go ahead and close this. You have So it looks to be a tiny bit thicker. Let's see. So it's like just a hair thicker. So I think the actual like cover and the pages are a little bit thicker because a Leuchtturm has like 240 and this has 206 pages. So the paper is definitely going to be thicker. I mean, it has to be since this is 80 GSM and this is 100. So sizing wise, it actually is basically the same size. It feels like the paper sticks out about the same amount because, you know, you always have like a little bit of extra like layover with the cover. So that seems to be the same. And then if we take a look on the inside here, so let's find a blank page, one that doesn't have any writing. There you go. So the paper, it looks like the Rhodium Mines is a little bit whiter. The dots are a little bit darker and a little bit bigger, but it doesn't seem too bad. So that is the Leuchtturm. Let's take a look at Dingbats. So Dingbats I know is going to be bigger because this is just like a bigger notebook overall than most standard ones. So you can see, yes. So you've got a bit of an overhang on both the top and the bottom. So you are going to have more space in a Dingbats, but this is pretty true to a Leuchtturm size if you're looking to go to something in a similar like size range. And then, oops, and actually let's take a look at width. Oopsie daisy. So it feels like they feel pretty similar, but I think the Rhodium might be a tiny bit thicker, possibly. It's really hard to tell. So looking at the pages, oops, we have, so I would say, I think the Rhodium is a little bit whiter, but it's honestly pretty close to my eyes. Now, somebody who has better eye for color might be able to tell me otherwise. The dots in the Dingbats are a little bit lighter and smaller than the dots in the Rhodium, so otherwise pretty similar. And last but not least, this is a notebook that I just have on hand. I know a lot of people like the Rhodia Gold book, so I'm not really comparing it for this particular book, because I don't actually physically own a gold book, but really what I'm looking at is the paper. So it is basically the same size. Actually, the Rhodia is a hair wider. It's kind of hard to tell. Whoops. It's kind of hard to tell, but like it does have a little bit more of an overhang there. And the Rhodium Mines is going to be bigger because this is just a smaller notebook, and in general it's also a soft cover. But what we really want to look at here is the paper. So, ta-da! All right, so Rhodia definitely is a more yellow paper. I think the dots are kind of similar. I think these two have the darkest and the biggest dots out of all four of the notebooks, but Rhodia definitely has more yellow paper. And as far as memory serves, all three, actually, I think all three of these have 100 GSM paper, whereas the Leuchtturm has 80, so hopefully they will react all pretty similarly, but we are going to give it a test so we can see for sure how it's going to react in the Rhodium Mines. I am going to move this notebook off to the side so I have a flat writing space, and let's take a look at the pens that I will test. So I picked out, kind of looking at previous pen tests I've done for other things, I picked out a couple of my most used pens and also things that I know a lot of other people tend to use. So for example, I have mild liners. These are pens that I've had for a while that I used to use a lot more that I don't use as much anymore, but I know that they are very popular and they are lovely pens to write with. So I figured I would go ahead and show you guys these. I have two different fountain pens. So these are both, well, no, actually that's a lie. This is an extra fine nib and this is a fine, but what I like is this is a nice like gray ink, and the Noodler's Apache Sunset puts down a fair amount, so you can usually tell if it's going to bleed through or not between these two. I have two different brush pens. So I have a nice big brush, Tombow, and I picked black because that's like the darkest color, so you can definitely see if it's going to bleed through or anything on there. And I also have, oops, a Tombow Funosuke, which is a smaller brush pen, but also a nice dark color. Then I have my two favorite copper / bronze. I know technically this is a bronze, but like honestly it's copper to me. So I have my Faber-Castell copper pen and a copper, bronze, whatever, gel pen. And this one I always like to try because this one puts down a lot of ink, and it takes forever to dry. So it is good to test that if you're going to like want to use that in a bullet journal or something. And then finally, I have my like everyday writer. So this is just a 0.5 gel pen. I have a 0.5 that I can pull out and test as well. So if you write with a bigger nib, you can check and see how that's going to work as well. Let me grab that. Let's see. So here we have 0.5. And then I also have my microns, which I'll do a pretty quick little test, mostly with the 0.8, the largest, to see if you do like a swatch of, like a filled in swatch of color, if that's going to bleed through it all. So what I will do is I will go ahead and I will do all of the pens and time lapse you guys, and then come back at the end and we'll take a look and see what has bled through or not and see how everything worked. So that is all of the pens, and I just realized as I was doing like the last one that I had put a dot before the or after the 0 for the microns, and I shouldn't have, but you guys will know what I mean. Obviously the biggest to the smallest. So this is all of the different pens. It looks, if we take a look up close, there doesn't seem to be any feathering. I know that, for example, my yellow mild liner is one that I've used a lot, and so the point nib side is actually getting a little bit like squishy and flexible, which is why that one's a little bit thicker than the gray one. But otherwise, it looks like it doesn't feather or anything like that. So pretty good. My hands are a tiny bit shaky, as you can see in this particular one. So they all look good there. Let's take a look on the back. Oops. All right, so you are gonna get some ghosting, which like honestly is pretty standard with almost every notebook out there. Like, doesn't really bother me. You can see the Fudenosuke actually even more than the Tombow, or like the bigger Tombow. I'm not sure quite why. If you see on the fountain pen, there's like little points where it's starting to want to bleed through a little, but it hasn't quite made it. So I think it'll be okay for fountain pen, just maybe not like the wettest ink that you have, but everything else looks like it has, like, you know, you have ghosting, but it doesn't look like there's been any bleed through whatsoever. So again, oops, because this isn't actually a card that has like the same dot grid that the notebook has, I am not like 100% sure that it's the same paper, but based on the feel, it does feel like it's the same paper as what is actually in, the notebook. So all things being equal, anything that you test on here should work just fine in your notebook when you actually go in to draw spreads and stuff. So yeah, I will link the company and their like information about the notebook and all of that kind of fun stuff in the description box down below. I will also link the pens that I used, including the inks, because I know I didn't actually write the inks on the card. That's because I have to double check spelling for this gray one. It's one of the, what are they called? The Pilot Iroshizuko. I think it's the Fusogen, and I know I'm going to pronounce that incorrectly, but I want to make sure I give you guys the right name for the ink. The one in this rose gold lamy is the Noodler's Apache Sunset, though. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. I am really excited to use this notebook for something. I'm still not sure. You guys know, I always have tons of notebooks, and I'm never sure what to use them for quite at that time, but I will, because I love that it's just like this sleek black, like, oh, I forgot about this. Cool. So there's one last little thing. You have this RM for Rhodium Mines just on like the spine there. I like that for showing their branding. It's something that's like not super like in your face. So I do appreciate that, but it is something that you're going to see like when you put it up on your shelf. But I like that it's just, you know, they've got this plain black notebook. It's just really nice and simple. So I am really excited to use this for something. I'm not sure what yet, like I said, but I think it's going to be really nice whenever I do. So before I let you guys go, I also want to add that the lovely people at Rhodium Mines sent me a second notebook that I am going to do as a giveaway for you guys, or for anybody who wants to check out over my Instagram. Honestly, I love doing giveaways on here as well, but just with time-wise right now, it's really just a lot easier for me to do it on Instagram. So I promise I will do another YouTube giveaway. But if you guys want to enter this one, it will be up around the time that I post this video, so you guys can go and check out. I have linked my Instagram down below at the bottom of the description box. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And if you guys have tried the Rhodium Mines notebooks, let me know what you guys thought. You know, how was the paper? How was it to write in and all of that? I think I'm gonna really like using it, so I'm excited to hear what you guys think. And that's all I have for you today. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.